Dear listeners, welcome to The Princess and the Magician. In a far distant land, hidden behind high mountains, there once lived a king who had only one daughter, and her name was Elsevira. She had curly golden hair and blue eyes, and a beautiful smile. She was not a nice girl, though. In fact, she was very naughty. She was always saying nasty things and playing tricks on people unaware. No one liked her, except, of course, her father, and he thought she was wonderful. He could never believe she ever did anything wrong. When the princess was nearly 5, the king decided that on her birthday he would give a huge party for her, and all the best entertainers in the country would be asked to perform to honor her. There would be dancers, acrobats, ventriloquists, actors, fire-eaters, and a grand finale, Hari-Lari, the most famous magician of them all. On this special day, hundreds of guests arrived, and although they did not like Princess Elsevira, the king was a very good king and a kind ruler. There was much eating, singing, and merrymaking throughout the day, and all the famous artists did their acts. At last it was the big moment, and a hush fell over the guests. The rows of dancers were in position. Music played louder and louder. Trumpets sounded, and a fanfare, and suddenly Hari-Lari appeared at the top of the marble staircase in the king's hall. Everyone applauded, and then there was dead silence as Hari-Lari slowly descended the staircase. Before the king's throne and the princess's chair, which was all decorated in flowers, Hari-Lari bowed deeply. He stood for a moment without moving. Then he slowly lifted his magic wand and called, "To the princess!" And at that instant, 2 white doves appeared out of nowhere, carrying sprigs of white blossoms in their beaks. They flew straight to the princess and offered them to her. She smiled her beautiful smile and accepted the flowers as everyone applauded loudly. Hari-Lari then proceeded to perform the most amazing magic. He pulled beautiful silk shawls out of a glass until everyone lost count of them. From an empty egg cup he poured a glass of red wine for the king and a glass of lemonade for the princess. He cut a length of white rope into many pieces, and then with a wave of his wand turned them back into one piece again. He plucked large bouquets of flowers out of the air, and one rabbit after another jumped out of his tall, pointed silk hat. Then, before the guests had barely time to blink, the spot on which Hari-Lari was standing turned into a real flower garden. Pigeons flew about, bees looked for pollen among the flowers, and rabbits hopped between them. Then the garden vanished, and Hari-Lari bowed deeply to the king and princess to take his leave. But when the applause kept on, the king insisted that he do one more trick. Hari-Lari suggested that the princess decide. "Oh, ha ha!" she laughed, and asked him to turn the flowers of her chair into sticks of rock. Suddenly, all around the princess sprouted yellow sticks of rock. A tear fell on the princess's cheek. "I don't like yellow sticks of rock," she cried. "Only red ones." Now that presented a problem for Hari-Lari, for there were no more flowers left to change. But he had an idea. So as not to spoil Her Majesty's birthday, he changed his own magic wand into a lovely red stick of rock. Oh, she clapped decidedly and asked if she could hold the stick, but just for a second. He handed it to her, and oh my, that was the biggest mistake he had ever made. She gobbled it up. Poor Hari-Lari! He had lost his magic wand forever. Now he would never be able to make magic. He stood there, shook his head, dazed, and so unhappy he almost cried. When the king realized what had happened, he gave Hari-Lari a purse full of gold pieces so that he would never have to work again. And although it was a very nice gesture from the king, it didn't make Hari-Lari happy. He wondered if the wand inside of the princess's tummy might still work. Majestically he raised his magician arms and said under his breath, "Oh, magic wand, oh, stick of rock, make this bad princess good. Simsalabim!" In no time at all, the princess was actually being nice to every one. When she became queen, she was just as kind a ruler as her father had been. Everyone loved her. They were thankful and told Hari-Lari, "You will be famous forever for making the princess so good." And this is the end.